Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Welcome to the annual. And I got into trouble for this, Brad. I got into trouble for calling it the annual Christmas show because a good friend of mine said, well, Christmas is annually anyway. So why are you calling it the annual Christmas show?
Wow.
Yeah, we should call it the annual Christmas.
Well, it's annual for us because we only do it once a year at this particular time, not at Christmas, but right now. So.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So we can still call it the annual Christmas show.
Not
That's
to get too annual about it.
That's my justification for it anyway. So.
Well done. Good to see you guys. As ever, we've got some special guests here hanging out with us, folks, on the channel.
Yes.
We've got John ZD351, who has been a mainstay, helping us out on the show, and Jim Jazz Thunder 50 as well, who's no stranger to jumping on and hanging out with us. So you two gentlemen in particular, I'm going to highlight them because they deserve to be highlighted. So the first highlight, there he is. That's handsome man there. Well done.
Well done.
And this handsome fellow here. Well done. Thank you, guys. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedules. I know in particular, Brad, for Simon and Jim, it's way early in the morning, bro. Way early.
Well, from my understanding, they're just kicking on from the night before, so they haven't gone to bed yet.
That's the way to do it.
My eldest daughter just came in. Like she came in about 20 minutes ago. Had a good night. Yeah, been out watching the boxing. Didn't start till 1 a.m. So it's
Oh, I'm so glad she didn't say she was out watching the cricket, Simon.
no, let's not go there. Can we not do that? Thank you.
Okay. I just saw Stokes.
England's
Stokes
ruinous
bowled
asses. Oh dear. Such high hopes and such a large amount of cocking it up.
Jim and John and Brad, you guys will know this, you know, to play Australia in Australia, you know, that's tough, mate, because you guys have the weather over there too, you know. So yesterday or the day before in Adelaide, it was 30 or 34 degrees, something like that, John.
Yeah.
You know, do you get that hot in Melbourne, John?
Yeah, we were what were we yesterday, Brad? I saw around about 27 when I looked at one point.
And the day before was about 38, John. About 38 to 40.
Yeah, it's a big.
That's 20 more runs than the England team got, is it?
During the week, I'm in an air-conditioned office, so I tend not to realise what the weather's doing outside. But yeah, don't ask me about the cricket, mate. The last time I paid attention to the cricket, Lily was bowling and Marshall's wicket keeping. So.
Lillian Thompson, great Australian fast bowler, Lillian Thompson.
Well, I suppose you could rake me over the coals too, because New Zealand's playing West Indies, and I haven't watched a minute of it, but I've been watching just about every minute I can, guys, of the Ashes, because you know, if you're a cricket fanatic, you know, the Ashes, that's the best cricket in the world.
Yeah,
that's the one. That's the one.
Although, well, it's unfortunately, it's interesting here in the UK because it's gone onto, you know, Sky TV, and they bought all the rights for it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have this, does it, Jim? Because since they took it off terrestrial TV, so it's not on the BBC or whatever, ITV, it's kind of disappears behind the paywall. Well, I don't think it has. It's not the same excitement now as there was, you know. Is there, Jim? Am I right about that? I feel that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Sky's very clever now that they, you know, with the sports, they've kind of segmented everything, so you can subscribe to part of it, you know. And then if you want to get the other matches and things in football, certainly you have to subscribe to about 5 channels. So it's just, you know, getting more and more money out of you, brings in more cash.
Absolutely, Jim. You know, it's yeah, definitely a business. Sport is a huge business, and I follow the EPL, and we're lucky here that there's only one. Well, on Sky TV, they play just about all the games live. But you know, it's not free. It's not free to air. It hasn't been free to air in New Zealand for 40 years.
No.
Oh shit!
Wow. 40 years, bloody hell. Oh, that's about 1985, isn't it? Yes. Not 1955.
Or maybe 30 years. Anyway, we've got some cool people in the chat hanging out with us, Simon. So might be a good opportunity for you to do a quick little hangout chat. Is that okay?
Well, yeah, it's fine. Well, we got Paulie Walnuts. Morning, Paulie.
Hi, Paulie.
Hope you're good. And Mars 6433. Hey kids, I think that's Quentin, isn't it?
That's
I think it is.
That's Mr.
Mr.
Q.
James. Mr. Q.
Sounds very cute.
Yeah, it sounds very cute. On Mars, yes. So he spends lots of his time on the planet Mars. Q, I hope you're good, mate. I hope you're recovering from your medical stuff. You seem to be taking up residence practically in that hospital. Hospitals with sick people. Get out of there quick. We've got Jonas Halberg. It's
Jonas.
as well as you. Good morning, Jonas. Good to see you as well. Recovering from your hip operation. Better than me.
Well done. Well done.
So
guys, we had our top 3 and not so top 3 things last week on the channel with the 3 of us. But I'm going to just toss over to Jim and John, guys. If John has a special thing that he wants to shout out that happened this year, and is there one negative thing? And I'll get you, Jim, to do the same thing. Is there anything particularly positive that's happened in your music life this year, John?
Oh, nothing in particular. I think as we've had discussions in previous shows, and people saying about any new music getting out, I've discovered some new stuff throughout the past couple of years that just pops up in front of your eyes and ears, and you get into. So there's been a few bands that I've started to listen to that I've been enjoying, that crept up in my Spotify lists through the year. But nothing big. There's been no one real big event of 2025 for me. Again, I was disappointed in the passing of my first guitar hero, Ace Frehley, not too long ago, and we've covered that. And apart from that, it's just been another year. Doesn't felt like it's been a year. It's felt like a pretty the most recent 6 months of my life.
Oh well, okay. Well, that's good. So no real whinging and whining. So that's okay. That's
you can do that for me.
Yeah. We can do that ourselves. Jim, what about you? Is there any particular highlight that's happened to you, or that you'd like to discuss this year this year?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be any surprise. I mean, I went to see Eric Clapton at the Albert Hall, and it was very good. You know, it was he put on a good show. It's kind of more lively crowd than sometimes there is there, and seemed to respond to that. So I really enjoyed that. But probably the thing that I was a sort of a surprise was I went to see the John Martin Project, and they're a group of musicians that have got together to play John Martin's music together. They did it for some kind of tribute thing, and then they stuck together. And I have a friend that's just a massive John Martin fan, and he was going to go, but he took ill just before the show. So I went along with my son. You know, he emailed the tickets to me, and I went with my son to see the show, and it was absolutely brilliant musicianship, and the guys were playing the guitars with all the kind of John Martin, had some very unusual tunings, C minor tuning and all sorts of things.
Wow.
And they did a fantastic job. The singer, they all sang, but the woman singer, Blythe Pepino's her name, just extraordinary voice. And so, you know, they sell the albums at the shows, and I bought the record for my friend, the LP. And, you know, I'd thoroughly recommend you check out the John Martin Project on Spotify or at one of the streaming channels. They do some, if you like any of that kind of folk-based music. They were quite brave. They covered some of the stuff from the 80s. You know, there's a really powerful song called John Wayne that he did. And I didn't think anyone could do that. And they did it was really, really good. I was just thrilled kind of seeing that, and it's in a tiny little venue, you know, so you kind of really up close, and you kind of feel, you know, you feel part of the music much more. So that was a musical highlight for me in the year. And I think, you know, as John's saying, there were a few departures this year from that. It's kind of becoming a more frequent thing. You know, Mick Ralphs from Bad Company departed, and you know, I remember listening to Bad Company when they started out, and, you know, before that, Free, and Mark the Hoople with him. And, you know, he was a kind of, you know, as we've talked about that, and I think when one of the ranking the tracks things, a kind of underrated guitar player, I think, really somebody that could
hugely
always serves the song, you know. But there you go. So that was it. Yeah, I guess that wraps that up. Yep.
Oh, I've got one
John
question.
Martin, I saw John Martin in the 70s in the fantastic.
I got one question for you, Jim. So, you know, being a Clapton nut, and, you know, Brad went and saw Clapton was it last year, Brad? You know, recently. So what was the Clapton gig especially good at? If people were lively, what was the reason? What was the ingredient for that? I'll be interested to know.
You know, I honestly don't know. Sometimes places like the Albert Hall can be, you know, a little bit like a library almost. You know, that night people were sort of, why it happened, I don't know. I think there's I'm not sure. I think just some nights are different from others. I was speaking to a few guys, and there's some guys over from Japan, and they'd seen the shows there, and, you know, they said that that night was the best night. You know, I don't know if that's true, but I think sometimes musicians, I mean, Brad probably knows this, probably respond to the energy that you get off the crowd. You know, there's a kind of a sort of symbiotic thing going on there where, you know, if the crowd are up for it and lively, that kind of channels into the music, and then the music coming out being a bit more lively channels the crowd up, and it kind of feeds itself, you know. But I mean, you know, largely, you know, like the show wasn't hugely different to the show, you know, Brad, the year before. The songs were, you know, the set list doesn't vary a lot. He does throw in the occasional change, but you know, it's been pretty standard over the last few years, what he plays. His daughter came on at the end in the encore, and we did Before They Accuse Me, and she joined the backing singers to sing along. And then at the end, she came and she had a hug with her dad. So that was a thing. And I think the night before, I think Eric had played Let It Grow, which he hadn't played since about 1974, I think, on stage. So Tony Edser from Where's Eric had said that they just rehearsed that in the dressing room like about 10 minutes before the show and just went out and played it, you know. So,
really?
The idea that they might be rehearsing stuff, sometimes it's just spontaneous. And those are sort of nice moments that you can enjoy, you know.
So is Eric's daughter pursuing a career in music, do you think? Because we don't hear a lot about his family guys, do we? So that part of his life is kept quite sort of buried, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly, do you know? I don't. You're just for that reason. I think that it is pretty private. She seemed to be enjoying herself. I think just a nice little thing for her to do, I guess, and just be close and involved and be included in it. So it was nice to see. It was nice to see.
Morning, Gretch. Hope you're good. Yeah, but Jimmy, but the majority of his set is
there about
is
Jazz
the same.
Masters and Jazz Thunder. Do you see that in the chat there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
don't know.
Simon.
Well, no, I was asking, you've said that most of his set has been the same for the last few years, like 90% of it. So he's not like Bob Dylan chucking it around everywhere and starting songs that nobody knows.
No, I think there's been sometimes a bit of gripes among fans, that the set list can be a bit predictable, But I mean, over the years, I think you do see changes. He will bring back songs and tunes that he hasn't done, and and then they stay for a bit and then they go again. So there's a lot to draw on, and sometimes you think, oh, I wish he'd play, and he's maybe never going to do it again, So you just don't, you just don't know. But I mean, you've just got to appreciate the fact, when musicians get into their later years,
80,
Clapton's 80 now, so I think it's just great that you're getting a chance still to see these guys. I went to see Bob Dylan a few years ago, and he's modified how he performs to suit his voice.
Sure.
Very limited now, it's almost like just kind of talking through the show.
Yeah.
And he was back. He was back in Glasgow again earlier this year. I didn't go because I thought, well, I think it's going to be pretty similar to how it was, and so I didn't see the point of going back to that. And you could say, well, why are you going back and seeing Clapton? And what I would say about that is that although it's the same songs, he kind of plays them differently every time. The solos are pretty spontaneous and stuff. So, it might be the
really
same
difficult
vehicle, but what he's playing is different usually.
Yeah. I think it's really difficult, isn't it? I mean, I went to see Bruce Springsteen last year, and he was at 3 hours of majestic, extraordinary show, really, for a 76-year-old man to put on. I mean, but you think to yourself, would I go again? And I'd be on the edge of, because when he next come around, he'll be 78, not 76, and and at some point the powers do wane, and I think Eric's in a good place because he's basically playing blues, isn't he? So he can, he's not. There's no onus on him to be jumping around and jumping off the PA and stuff. He can stand there and it flows out of him, and that's brilliant. So he's probably chosen the right genre of music to play into your 80s kind of thing. As long as as long as the voice holds up.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of 80s, Keith Richards celebrated his birthday a couple of days ago, and the Rolling Stones, from what I understand, have cancelled their tour next year. And according to official information, it's not because of health. So, but we still don't know, guys, what the reason is. So if it's not health, then we know it won't be sales, Brad, because you can't get tickets on any Rolling Stones concert. So, I think it's got to be health. Has to be.
Well, I think I'd read somewhere that Keith didn't feel up to committing to 5 months of touring. He wanted it to be less than that. So I don't know whether he's feeling his age, but that's what I'd read, is that he didn't want to commit to a length of tour. He wanted to be shorter, stadium tour kind of thing.
Do they short tours like they did where there's 12, I think they did 12 gigs or something like that. So
He's I think he's got arthritis in his hands though, hasn't he? I think there was some comment about that, and I think he's adapted how he plays a bit to cope with that. But that might be a bit of a struggle for him. But I think I think there is a model where you can just go out and do 2 or 3 gigs and then stop and then have a break and then do more. But whether it takes for the Stones, I think all the the things that they have to put together to do a show probably makes that quite an uneconomic thing to do, you know. But,
Is this the end of the Stones touring then, Jim?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think they might do small little shows. You know, they'll find some way, I think, of doing something. I saw them a few years back, but it was when Charlie was still in the band.
Yeah.
And when Charlie died, I thought, well, it's not quite going to be the same, you know, because he was the kind of literally the heartbeat of the band, I think. And some would say he was always the best musician in the band, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would feel differently about that now if it wasn't, because Charlie was the perfect fit as a drummer, you know, I think.
Yeah, interesting. That's the eternal question is, at what point do they become not the Rolling Stones?
Yeah.
You know, and clearly Charlie going, not enough of them to stop being the Rolling Stones. You know, if Keith died, or if when Mick, you know, would they carry on without Mick and have somebody else?
No.
I don't think they would, to be
No.
honest. I don't think they carry on without Keith either. But
No.
There's
No,
some
so-
bands
so
out there.
we're-
There's some bands out there where there's just one member of the original group, you know. Like
Oh,
Tennessee
you-
Steel.
Foreigner with none.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You go and look at some of these Wikipedia articles and some of these bands, and you look at the former members, and the former members list is twice as long, Brad, than what the original members, or sometimes 5 times as long as what the original members were, Brad. So
100%. Yeah. I reckon, you know, they probably just don't want to tour that extensively anymore. I mean, you probably hear the Rolling Stones in some sort of form of live capacity, but until obviously the inevitable happens. But yeah, I don't think that they'll stop performing. I just think the whole touring thing at their age gets a little bit tiresome. And I'll go back to what you were talking about before with the blues. I think it's easier for a blues artist to go through until their 90s or even further, because they don't have to try and sing like a 20, 30-year-old man anymore. They can just sing the blues and do what they do. And you see like Buddy Guy still touring at 90. Can he sing like he used to? No, but it doesn't matter because he's still singing the blues. So same thing with Eric Clapton. I mean, he's got a lot of health issues and ongoing things with his hands and numbness, this and that, but he still does it. You know, he's not a young man anymore. He's 80. But for a bluesman, they can still do it until they can't. You know what I mean? So that's the difference between a bluesman and potentially a rock singer like you can't imagine Vince Neil singing "Girls, Girls, Girls" at 90 years of age. I think that would
apparently you can't imagine him singing it now.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to go down that path. Okay, you know, "Welcome to the Jungle" by Axl Rose at 90. I mean, you know, it doesn't sort of cut the mustard. I don't think he'd be able to do it anyway. So, well, I'm not dissing them, but I just think the blues is one of those things that can be done at any age. But the Stones, I mean, the Stones are in their 80s, and these big long world tours must get tiresome for, you know, these men. I mean, you think about it, I know they get everything done for them. They just got to basically get up and play, but it's still not the point. That they probably want to spend more time at home as well with family and things like that.
Yeah, making shepherd's pie.
That's right. You know,
And there's another hurdle you've got to consider with a band of that stature, that they tour with a massive organisation. There's lots of production staff, road crew, the people building the stage, stuff like that. So you have to align a lot of people in to get a tour done. And to sign up for a 3-month tour, that's someone, you know, signing up for a proper job. If someone's going to do, say, a one-off concert and they've got to put in a big production, they can afford to. They can find people for the one night. But it's very hard to get people to commit for, you know, a week or two here, then a break, and another week or two there, which means that they're not working in between. They can't sign up for any other long-term gig because of this, so they're naturally not going to do it. So you find that to put on the big Rolling Stones show with all the lights and big screens and inflatable, decorations and stuff like that they do, and it is a spectacular show these days. You can't do that sort of. You got to be all in or all out kind of thing, and I think that's the other thing that they're going to struggle with as well, because a stage manager or any technical person worth their salt is going to be well sought after, and they need to be working steadily.
Okay, that makes sense.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point,
I was just
Simon.
having a look when you were there, and it was Keith. It's reported that Keith said he couldn't commit to a 4 months tour. He didn't want to commit to that long.
Mm.
So
I think I'm going to go out on a limb, and I think this is probably the end of the Stones as we know it. You're right, John. I don't think they're going to be doing those big tours anymore and have breaks. It's just going to be probably what about this, Jim? Would they do a residency like at the Albert Hall, like Clapton? Would they do like 24 nights at Albert Hall?
I don't think Mick Jagger would do that, because the economics of that, they would have. What would the ticket prices be when they played the O2 some years back? I mean, the prices were pretty high. So I think they kind of, to get the financial return they want out of it, or they need out of it, they need to pay the football stadiums, don't they? And
okay,
so I think people have wondered why Eric Clapton plays the Albert Hall, because it costs more to hire the Albert Hall. So you almost have to pay other shows to subsidize the cost of playing.
Really?
It's more expensive there to hire that venue, and you can only sell like 5,000 seats, or probably less, probably fewer, because some of the seats are owned anyway by. It's almost like hereditary peers, Simon. Like people bought a seat at the Albert Hall, in the 1940s for life. You paid. I think that's how they raised some of the money to build it. Queen Victoria and stuff. They sold seats for £100, so you had that in perpetuity. Those seats you bought, or the box you bought. So there's a bunch of people own seats at the Albert Hall, and then they're selling them the seats and making money out of it over the years. So. But the bottom line is, I don't think there's enough volume there. Even that would be a good model. I mean, maybe if they pitched up one of the big stadiums and said, right, we're going to be here for 2 weeks or something, that might work. But I don't know. They've got a new record coming out anyway next year, haven't they? I think.
Yes, they have. Yes, so that's something to look forward to, and obviously we'll be buzzing around that album when it comes out. So if we hear of any information, and speaking of the Rolling Stones, I've flicked an invite to Carl. So if Carl doesn't join us this evening, Simon and guys, he might join us tomorrow, Simon, when you and I, if we decide to pull the trigger and go and do a show tomorrow for a little bit, because if people aren't aware, one of the main reasons why we're a little bit early this year is because Brad is going to Christmas carols tomorrow, bro. So well done, taking the family. Well done.
Yep.
Good thing, brother.
Go on there to sing all the Christmas carols and enjoy the spirit of Christmas, as we should be.
100%.
Yeah. That'd be fun. I did it last year as well, and it was a really big production. It was great. So we're going again this year. It's great.
Wow, fantastic. Well, speaking of Christmas, because this is what this annual show is about, because Christmas is a celebration annually.
Apparently.
Yeah. And we did something like this a little bit last year too, if you guys might remember. But we were talking about favorite Christmas songs and more importantly, the reason why. So we're going to kick it off. We're going to go top line first. We're going to go John, then Jim, followed by you, Brad, and Simon and me. So you've got a couple of honourable mentions. If it's too hard for you to find just one, you've got a couple of honourable mentions. But John, I look forward to finding out what your favourite Christmas song is and why.
Too hard to find one. I was struggling to find any. I hate being the guy that always comes on the show and is always going poo-pooing at the stuff that everybody else loves. I'm not a Christmas guy, but
Merry Christmas.
but two songs sort of stuck out to me when the question was raised, and music being the thing that is a momentary thing at, you know, whatever time you might be listening to something as to whether it's your favorite or not.
Sure.
So I tend to answer these questions with the first thing that pops into your mind, because that's unfiltered. Again, I'm not a Christmas carol guy. I was in the shops yesterday. I'd gone to the work Christmas party and only decided at the last minute I was going to do so. So I went there early and went to the department store across the road from the venue and bought a shirt, because I went basically straight from work. And they're playing the song, and of course a lot of the traditional Christmas songs are, you know, from the northern hemisphere, where Christmas is all to do with winter and snow and stuff like that. And so all these wintry, snowy Christmas songs really get on my goat, because it's not wintertime here when we have Christmas. So but as I said, two songs that sort of stuck out to me. One is a Christmas song, like is a Christmas carol, but it's a particular version of it. And a few years back, the crazy heavy rock band Twisted Sister put out a Christmas album. And their version of Come All Ye Faithful pretty much just lies on top of the musical. They really didn't have to change too much at all of the music to We're Not Gonna Take It. So they're basically singing Come All You Faithful over the top of We're Not Gonna Take It, and it is effing epic. So I love that. But as a Christmas song, I will go to one of our Australian treasures and say How to Make Gravy by Paul Kelly. And it's a song that's not particularly a Christmas song, but it's a narrative. It's basically a letter. The lyrics are basically a letter from someone who's incarcerated to the family at home. And obviously this guy, he stuffed up and he's found himself behind bars, and you know, he's apologetic for that, but also he talks about who's going to make the gravy for the Christmas dinner this year, seeing as he's not there to be with the family. It's always an emotional listen. So I'll throw those two songs in for my picks.
Well done. Well done. And thank you for the reasons why, because that's always the story, isn't it, Simon? So Jim, and you've got a couple of honourable mentions too. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I do like Christmas carols. Actually, I watch every year Carols from Kings. I don't know if you know that, Simon, from Oxford. It's a very good program, and so I do like that. I mean, in terms of Christmas songs, I'm kind of with John. I'm not a big Christmas song guy. The one I bought way back in the day was John Lennon, "Merry Christmas, War Is Over."
Well done.
I really like that. I still do. I think that's a good song. It's not too sentimental, and you know, there's a kind of nice message in there. You know, it's very. So yeah, that's the one I bought as a kid. Over the honourable mentions are. My dad liked Fairy Tale in New York by the Pogues. You know, he's deceased now, but he particularly liked the line in it. I could have been someone, and you know, the talk comes back from, yeah, but
Hugh.
so could anyone, you know. So he found that kind of amusing. So Fairy Tale. Hi Hugh.
Good morning.
Howdy.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing okay. How is everyone?
Fantastic.
Good,
Glad that
good.
you're here. We're
Yeah.
glad that you're here. So we're just going through talking about our favorite Christmas songs and the reason why. So because you're a guest and you're here, you're going to be going straight after Jim with your picks and your reasons why. Good to
Okay.
see you.
You too, mate.
So if carry on, Jim.
Okay, so that was it. The Fairy Tale of New York.
Great song.
Would be an honourable mention. I like Freddie King's Christmas Tears, blues song. I like his original. Clapton did that a few years back, but I like the Freddie King version. And just there's a Tom Waits song I like, which is Christmas Card from a Hooker in Minneapolis. I don't know if anyone's got that one.
Yes.
That's a great song. I like a lot of Tom Waits songs and music, and
Yes.
that's a good one. And just recently, just because of the probably going to upset a few people, but the Darkness have just put out a version of Cliff Richard's Mistletoe and Wine. So that is I absolutely that was like a song I just could not stand, so when it was done, no harm to Cliff Richard, he's done his thing for all these years, good luck to him, but I just hate some of those kind of really mawkish chintzy Christmas songs that just but the Darkness have done a good job at reviving that song, and very tongue-in-cheek, I think, but quite amusing. They did an interview on BBC TV, which was
a car crash interview, apparently.
yeah. He was I thought he was very funny. The main guy, he'd been asked why he wasn't
Justin.
working. Yeah, he said he'd made a few kind of life decisions that were questionable and bad for his health. But anyway, so that was it. But good stuff. So that's that would be my selections. Really, it's pretty limited. I worked away from home quite a lot and used to go out, have to eat your dinner out in the town. At Christmas time, it was always the worst because you were sitting there on your own and there was parties going on. There was always Christmas music, and it just made you feel more lonely and horrible, So I used to try and find the places that wouldn't play Christmas music, and they were few and far between. But Pizza Express, I think, had a period where they wouldn't play Christmas music, and that was a place you could go and just grab a pizza and not have to endure endless Christmas songs.
The old curmudgeon inn. That's what you look for, don't you, Jim?
Yeah. I've got a life subscription there, Simon.
Well done.
It's some good choices there, Jim, and thanks for sharing that. Hugh, obviously, brother, good to see you. Thank you for jumping on and supporting us over the years, actually. So
I'm sorry I'm late, but I was tied up for a bit. I don't mean literally.
Well, I hope it was good. I hope whoever unwrapped you got a good pre-Christmas present.
My eyes are fixated on that lace sensor Clapton Strat in the background there.
Yes.
What a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is.
My Christmas song probably is Merry Christmas Everybody by Slade.
Oh.
Growing up,
classic.
Yeah, since I was like, I don't know, age of 6 onwards, you always heard it every single year, and it just put you in the mood for Christmas. And I'm a big Slade fan as well, so that's got great memories for years and years.
You got any honourable mentions before we toss it over to Brad?
I did a little collab with my friend Laurie on the old It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas, old Bob Hope song.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that. I always liked that.
Yeah. That's a good number. That's a good number. Obviously, folks in the chat, if you want to write what your favourite Christmas song is, we'll highlight that and tell us why. You know, you're more than welcome to share your opinions here with us as well. Brad, what have you got, bro? What's your favourite Christmas songs, bro?
This year, I mean, I've been listening to it a little bit. Eric Clapton did a Christmas album. You mentioned it a little bit before, Jim, and just that whole album I've been listening to quite a bit.
Great
But
album.
White Christmas, the version of that, I'm digging that this Christmas. But usually every year, the first Christmas song that I would normally put on would be "Merry Xmas, War Is Over" by John Lennon, just because the same reasons that everyone else has sort of mentioned so far. It's one of those songs that it's pretty generic. It's not about white Christmases. It's not about hot summers. It's 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 a positive song, and War Is Over is something that obviously every year there's something going on in the world at the moment, and it would just be lovely for the world to be in peace, really. Let's be honest. So it's got a really positive sentiment behind it as well. So
Well done, bro.
that would be probably my two that without sort of getting into it any more than that. There's no real honourable mentions after that, though. That's pretty much it.
I don't know if anybody has mentioned. I always loved Paul McCartney simply having a wonderful Christmas time. I don't know if anybody's mentioned that.
Yes,
No.
and no one's not mentioned it, but
I do have an honourable mention because I just looked at my notes as well, and Blue Christmas by Elvis Presley. So
funny you say that, Brad. I'm covering that with somebody at the minute.
oh
Wow,
wow,
well done, you. Yeah, excellent.
I'm not singing, but I'm just playing guitar.
Well done. Well done, Rock Professor. What have you got for us?
Well, first I should say good morning to Arvin Gaunt, to the Great Vanzini. Great to see you, Great Vanzini, and a couple of other people as well. But so great to see you guys coming on and saying hi. Hi as ever. I mean, I think probably for me, the Pogues is. I'm with Jim's dad on this. I think the Pogues is a great record. I think it's somehow it has enough grit in it and enough kind of because it's very easy to slip into kind of sentimentality, etc. on these sorts of things. But I think that probably is. I love the Pretenders, 2,000 Miles. I think that's a great Christmas song. Again, great. Slade, of course, I used to play that in the band. I used to be, wheel out Slade every Christmas. Absolutely. Slightly left field ones. Jonah Louie, Don't Stop the Cavalry. Yeah. which is great. I always love that. And on subject we were talking about earlier, Run Rudolph Run.
Oh yeah.
I heard it on the radio yesterday, and but I will say that I was round at my friend Terry's yesterday having coffee and larking about, and he was playing a lot of Christmas music, and I can't remember the guy's name, but a guy came on doing "Oh Come All Ye Faithful," and he just blew everything else away. To be honest, it was a fantastic version, great singing, and it was just like, I did think to myself, you know what, that's just. Everybody that we've listened to before, when he had a Christmas Spotify playlist on, but it was the best thing on it somehow with that tradition behind it, and so I think that sometimes the old ones are the best.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Well done. Any honourable mentions? That's everything on your list.
Well, I mean, as I say, Run Rudolph Run, Keith Richards. I mean, that was on his. That no one could beat the Chuck Berry beat. Like that. It's, I think it sort of bounces along and it's great fun and definitely brings a smile to the face. Jonah Louie, Stop the Cavalry. Again, as I think it's just it has that kind of melancholy bit to it that you know, because it's about the First World War and things. And
Yeah, it's very British too, Simon.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that. Slade is pure exuberance, and you know, should be played every Christmas.
Absolutely.
You know, noddy shouting, "It's Christmas!" You know, it's just it's great every time. And as I say, the Pretenders again, it's that kind of more gentle. It's got great song, great melody, and stuff. Great to it, you know. So don't tire of hearing that, because again, it's a bit more obliquely about Christmas than Head On. But as I say, and my favourite is the Pogues. You know, it just is.
Awesome.
I bet Andrew's going to tell us he's a big Mariah Carey fan.
Oh,
I know what Andrew's already picked. I can
Well, thanks guys for sharing those with you. So, you know, my favourite two Christmas songs, you know, were based on my experience, obviously growing up as a young fellow. I'll never forget 18 years of age and watching the video of these guys and girls that I knew that were individual artists, all English people, getting together and you know, singing this song about Christmas, you know, Band-Aid's Christmas song, and you know, with you know, Midge, you know, being the musician, well, the musical brains behind it. Bob Geldof, you know, it was a big deal, you know, back in 1984, and this is before social media, and you know, you were relying on, you know, legacy media to get that message across, and lots of people were, and you know, it was the idea that people were buying this album for charity to save people's lives. Again, it's a great thing, and you know, we had a lot of fun when you're 18 years old in 1984. Boy, what a time to be 18, you know, and you know, this Christmas song's there. So when I hear that song every year, it just instantly reminds me of those great times. And also growing up in a household, guys, where, you know, radio was a big deal and Christmas songs being played on the radio. My mum and dad loved it. You know, it was just incredible time of the year. People were always happy. People were singing Christmas songs. My second favorite song has already been mentioned by Jim and the Rock Professor, Fairy Tale of New York. It's just an incredible song too. Fantastic. The video, the way that it's sung, you know, it's about a guy saying to his wife or his partner, you know, I couldn't deliver, but I had the dream that we were going to have the life together. We were, you know, I had the dream.
Yeah.
You know, we couldn't deliver, but I still dreamed it, you know. So I love that. And Shane sings that obviously with a lot of, I think, authentic passion. One of the great Christmas songs. I love Christmas carols too, guys. You know, when I went to primary school here in New Zealand, I went to a secular primary school, and you know, Christmas carols were a big part of the end of year tradition here in New Zealand. You know, you'd get together at assembly and you'd sing Away in a Manger and Silent Night and all these great songs. So, you know, Silent Night's one of my favorite Christmas carols ever. I love that. And my honorable mention is, I'm sorry guys, I have to say it, but my mum loved this song, and it was Snoopy's Christmas, you know, by the Royal Guardsmen. You know, I'll never forget hearing my mum singing that song from my earliest age. She just loved it. Merry Christmas, my friends. You know, yeah. So
Yeah, good.
you
Well
feel
done.
like a kid. You feel like a kid, don't you? You know, and even if you're an oldie, you can still at Christmas time feel like a kid, can't you?
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
good ones. They're good ones, Andrew. I think I can certainly relate to the "Do you know the Christmas time" at all? I completely didn't even think of that one in relation to this, but yeah.
They've done a couple of, bro. They've done a couple of revamped versions. I think they did one, a 20-year version with with nobodies, with a whole lot of nobodies, and it's just not the same. And I think they may have done maybe two versions, but it's just not the same, you know. And in my opinion, someone might somebody might like it, but you know, it's definitely a song that spooned a great concert, didn't it? What was it? What was the concert that they did?
Live Aid.
Live Aid. That's it.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Just looking up whilst you were. So since 1984, the Band Aid Charitable Trust has raised and spent more than £145 million towards
Really?
the eradication of hunger. Yeah, they set up specifically so that it's able to give almost all of its money it raises directly to those in need. So it's just been there's not a whole lot of bureaucracy and a whole lot of no staff,
Wow.
no offices, minimal overhead costs. You know, so I think hats off to Geldof and Co for being able to set that up. That's quite amazing, really, and still going and still absolutely doing the work that it set out to do 40 years ago. 41 years.
40 years ago, Simon. You're right. Yeah, 40 years ago. So, and you know, that's one of the great things, isn't it? So, look, I appreciate you guys, and we've got some great comments in the chat. Connie Francis Christmas album, Falling in Love with some great stuff. And great Vanzini's remember Midnight Mass at Mount Angel Abbey, the monks on the left and the right upper lofts. It was like crazy Christmas carols and live stereo. Wow. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? That what you talk about, Andrew, reminded me when I was a kid. You know, we used to have big family Christmas and stuff. You know, my mum and dad. So I've got a brother and two sisters, and kids, and various friends. And we would have, you know, we would be round the piano singing carols. My dad had, you know, books of carols handed out. 1, 2, you're right. And there was always a musician or two in my, in my family. My grandmother was a very good piano player and taught at the Guildhall. My dad could play the piano as well. So, you know, a lot of sitting around, you know, singing around the table after the turkey, singing. You know, it was all. But my dad was all about the singing. Definitely. Proper.
Well,
carols.
I come from my mum came from a big family too, and here in New Zealand, Maori people, when they get together, they'll have a big meal, and once the meal is over, the beer will come out and they'll just drink, and the guitars will come out and people will just sing for hours the whole night. You know, guitar music and Christmas carols, and you know, it's the same thing, and it's just just a great time of year. So yeah, fantastic. All right, so we're going back up to the top level again. We're going around. We're sort of following a circuit. So, you know, it wouldn't be a Christmas show, guys, if it wasn't about hope. You know, and obviously as individuals we have that. But you know, because we're a music channel, we've got thoughts and opinions on musical things, and we've got some thoughts and opinions on some things, Jim and John, that we'd like to see happen maybe in the next 12 months. So you got a couple, John, that you want to share with us that you'd like to see happen in 2026? Hey, Big Wayne.
I guess musically, I like to see some of the people that I enjoy listening to come out and tour and get the chance to see them live. But I don't know. We've spoken at length about the current state of the music industry and how things go, and it seems like we're sort of in real uncharted territories these days, and who knows what's going to happen as far as the way that music is sent out to people and whoever's trying to make money out of it is trying to make money out of it. So I've sort of let go a lot of my expectations and assumptions about different things about the music landscape nowadays, and just try to bring it down to its pure form of just finding music I like and enjoying it, and not getting hung up on the people that make it, their history, their good or bad points. These days I'm just trying to find stuff that excites me and moves me and makes me want to listen to it again and again. So hopefully more of that.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Fantastic. Jim, is there anything you'd like to see? Any thoughts or hopes that you'd like to see happen in the music industry?
Yeah, well, I'd like. I got there's a Where's Eric magazine comes out with Eric Clapton, with the fan thing. And they were mentioning, back in 2012, the record, it was announced Universal were going to put out a Wheels of Fire box set with unreleased material and video, and we've been waiting for it since 2012. And apparently, there's a possibility that this is going to come out, if we believe this. But we've been waiting so long for this. I mean, and the Cream stuff's great, and I don't know what's stopping it, and how, it's been. I heard it was ready to go, years ago. So it'd be great if that came out. I think probably, well, the hope is that some of these record executives are beginning to think that, that since the demographic that's potentially going to purchase this huge amount of money is going to die off pretty quickly, they need to do it. They need to get the pre-orders in before rigor mortis sets in the audience space. So if they don't do it soon, they're not going to sell that to the fans of Kylie Minogue or whoever, So it'd be pretty good if they could just start to kind of think and just release that before we're all dead. Really would be a good idea, I think. So that's my hope, is that there's a
time to listen to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it gets really depressing. I heard really that I think there's a gulf between what fans want and what record executives want to give you. I guess they're gearing up the 60th anniversary release of Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. We've had the 20th, we've had the 40th, we've had the 50th. We're going to get the 60th, and probably the 70th will come with kind of death certificates of all the band included as one of the extras.
Carrying Eric out, yes.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done, Jim.
I just think it's kind of gone crazy, but also if they could have released this stuff at a reasonable price, because some of it,
it's expensive. Isn't it?
Some of the stuff you look at, and people are kind of shelling out. I sometimes look at it and think, I'm not paying that for that. It's just gone mad, So, and then maybe I do buy it, but I'm not. I'm getting a bit tired of being constantly gouged for more cash. But I do want the Wheels of Fire box set. Please release it. Get on with it, and start to actually. I wonder what they have, these little meetings where they all sit around talking about what they're going to do, then don't do anything, So it'd be good if they could have some fresh blood in the music industry that might actually start to listen to what people want and maybe try and give them it rather than what they think we want.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for sharing that. Hugh.
Yeah.
What have you got, brother?
Well, you know how like music tastes or whatever go in cycles, and like me being a huge 60s music fan especially, that in the early 90s all came back again with a lot of the bands from like England and Scotland and stuff like that, and then a lot of the 70s bands I liked came back kind of later 90s. Since like 2000 onwards, I don't really think there's been any kind of rekindling of the great stuff of the past that we liked, and I would like to see that at some point come back in some shape or form. Just so I could start buying new music again, rather than everything being old.
Yeah.
It's the finding it, Hugh. I think is the really, because it's the music industry is so broad now that finding. I mean, I think there are bands out there. I mean, we can take sort of the blues genre, and that there's Joe Bonamassa spends large amounts of his time producing records for other people, like Eric Gales and Joanne Shawn Taylor, and a lot of other people as well, and Josh Smith too. And so I think they are out there. It's just that it's quite difficult to get to see them, so that something's out there that you might be interested in, because it's just swamped by a million other things.
Yeah, because of the million other things that you say, there came a time when I just stopped looking.
Yeah,
I just gave up. It's like there was just nothing I was hearing on any radio or even going into record shops. Everything was all different again, and I just like to see just a bit of nostalgic, good, proper rock and roll coming back a bit.
Yeah. Brad mentioned that last week. Exact that same sentiment you last week, didn't you, Brad?
Yeah. And that's, I don't want to touch on mine until Hugh's finished, but pretty much.
Okay, yeah.
No, I'm done.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's okay. Well, we're passing it over to you, bro.
I mean, just touching on that, no matter how much searching I do, I still find things that are pretty cool and that, but it's not like discovering the next Black Crowes or the next Guns N' Roses or the next, whomever. It doesn't matter who. I think I would love to see a little bit more energized rock and roll bands instead of, and I think maybe a lot of it comes down to production, because it is quite easy to put stuff on Spotify and on the streaming platforms, where previously record companies would put a lot of money into production. And I know this for a fact, because I do it, and I put stuff up on streaming platforms and that through distribution things, and it's you can do it yourself, but it's just a flood of, say, you look up stoner rock, for example, or 70s rock or new 70s music or whatever, and it comes up with an abundance of bands you listen to. And it reminds me of listening to, when Ozzy Osbourne must have been looking for a new guitarist, and there was a whole palette of cassettes for him to listen to. And it's what music has kind of become a little bit. Unfortunately, I still would love to see physical product come back in music, not necessarily, expensive forms of physical product. Like vinyl is pretty expensive in a sense, where if you're going to go and buy all your favorite artist stuff on vinyl, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to get it all. Where CDs were a lot more affordable back in the day. Not saying that that's the answer, but I'd love to see physical product come back, make a resurgence, and a little bit more. If there was physical product, there might be more of a reason for record companies to exist and push new artists. I don't know if that's a business model that, probably needs to be rediscovered or what, but I don't know. I don't think that's ever going to happen with the way the world's going. All technology, AI, streaming platforms seem to be the only way. You guys were talking about, re-releasing stuff over and over and over again, and it costing money every time. You got to rebuy, Layla and other sort of love songs and that every single time it's re-released. I get to a point where I won't buy it now, and I'll have a listen to it first on streaming platform. And if it's not that great, I won't go and buy it now, because I find, well, I've got I've got the physical product. I'm happier with that than rebuying another remastered version of a remastered version of a remixed version. I mean, there is that whole thing that's record companies push that, but they don't push new, really highly talented bands. So I would love to see more of that become a business model for music again, pushing real young bands pushed into the spotlight, production really good. And I mean, you can do really good stuff from home studios, but I think that everything I listen to on Spotify, for example, sounds like a wall of sound to me. It doesn't sound,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no separation. There's no air in it. It's just like this wall of sound. And it's the way they mix stuff for Spotify, because it has to be presented in a certain way. It's like listening to, stuff on radio. When Foo Fighters came out, the first album was great. It was very demo-y almost. And then the second album, third album, and then after that, everything just sounded like this wall of sound, too much, no air. I still love it. I'm not knocking Foo Fighters, and I'm not knocking. It's just an example. I would love to hear more production go back to utilizing studios properly instead of just, utilizing all this expensive equipment and then putting it into a form that fits and is presented in Spotify, which is a lower quality audio anyway. So, yeah,
definitely.
I don't know. That's all I'm hoping for. That, be great. I mean, I remember in the 90s it was such a wonderful time for discovering new bands, and it wasn't like I was searching for them; they were just getting thrown at me constantly. We've had MTV finally. The last nail in the coffin, that's gone. There's no real good music channels that I'm aware of on free TV anyway. Is there, John? I don't really watch free TV
I was just about
anymore.
to say the same thing.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is I just remember Andrew and I have discussed this, and Andrew and I and Simon have discussed this. I remember, the first time I heard the Black Crowes' second album or the first album, for example, I was blown away. I was like, wow. The production was good. Went out and bought the album, and I fell in love with the band. It was same with Guns N' Roses, same with all the bands I dig. Stone Temple Pilots were another one. I heard their song on the radio, and I was like, I have to go and buy this record. You had to actually physically go buy the record, and you actually fell in love with the band for that reason. Where now it's so disposable, you can go on Spotify and go add it to a playlist and go, oh, I don't like it anymore, and remove it. It's not quite the same.
Yeah, sometimes when with Spotify, you could put the first two tracks on, and if you don't like one of them, you won't listen to the rest of the album. Whereas if you buy it, you'll make yourself listen to it, and then you might actually like it. So
100%.
Another thing as well. See, I go back to 2019. The music video playing community I was in for a bit. Almost everybody was playing guitars or pianos or basses, and they were all singing properly. And now, if you go to the same place, nobody's playing any instruments. It's all done through apps and, all that stuff. It's like there's no actual real music getting played by musicians as much. So
yeah.
It's going to take a lot to turn that around.
I don't think it will, unfortunately.
I think that becomes a genre all of itself. A bit like chart music, Chart music is a genre all of itself. And the problem is it's yet another genre, so now we've got 500 genres of music, and that's tricky to find.
I stopped listening to anything in the charts, right, a long time ago, but I did a little experiment about a year ago where I thought I'll listen to the top 20. I'll listen to it all just to see what it's like. And every single song was like the same song.
Correct.
And I wonder too, sometimes how much of it is us as well, because I I remember how I used to listen to music when I was 16 and in my 20s, and it was a deliberate act. And nowadays, I really find that I listen to music mostly. It's the my drive to work and back in the car, and if I'm doing something else, and I'm not just lying on my bed with the album cover in hand, looking at the notes and reading along with the lyrics and stuff like that. But it's also the thing too where I still have artists that are putting out, some good stuff.
Mm.
And I'll listen to it once or twice, or I'll, have it playing for a few weeks, and then it just gets put away, and I'm back to listening to that same artist's songs from the 80s from my youth. So I know that the most of the time that I throw Spotify on, unless I'm really consciously deciding to listen to something that's just come out or something that someone's recommended to me, is my same favorites playlist, and it's the same songs rolling over and over and over again. So I think it's like being disciplined, like when you're training for a marathon and actually doing the things not because it's fun, but because you need to go and do it, and go out and find the new music and look up what's happening. If you're into a particular genre, try to find out where the new stuff's coming from, and if you can find the cream of the crop of that. I went out last week to see my friends play in their cover band on the Friday night, and the venue they play, it's got the main stage, but they've got a little room at the back that has original bands here. And there's a trio of 15-year-old kids that were playing, and they had it was just your basic guitar, drums, and bass set up with the drummer doing the lead vocals, and they were doing their own stuff. They threw in a cover of "Killing in the Name of," and it was all kind of that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's few and far between compared to what it used to be, but there are still kids out there that will be, rocking out. There'll still be kids out there that'll be doing someone will find something that is not of their time. And I'm sure there is a 15-year-old out there playing rockabilly, and there's a 15-year-old out there playing ska, and there's someone playing blues and jazz and all the stuff that we think of stuff of being a bygone era, and not the sort of the same song that occupies all 20 spots on the top of the charts. But now it's up to us to go and search it and find it and find something, as I said before, that we connect with, because while I agree wholeheartedly that the charts seem to be like the same song 20 times over, maybe it's just like the same thing that, when we were young, what the old folks at that time thought of our stuff, that it was all the same. And we knew the difference between the Stones and between the Beatles and later on why sort of this type of hard rock was not the same as this type of heavy metal, which was not the same type as this other type of music, because we were interested enough to see the differences and the nuance and the variety within the genre. Whereas to someone who's not into it, all country sounds the same, all blues sounds the same, all opera sounds the same. It's not. Yeah. But you got to go into it and learn what makes it all different.
I noticed the thing on radio, that some years back, where you used to have sometimes some DJs that would be there who would be promoting the music and wanting people to pick up on it and listen to it. And years back, you just get this situation now where the DJ guy is there to promote themselves. They're in, the primary intent is to, boost their career and make themselves raise their profile. Back in the day, there were people who saying, you want to listen to this song, this is a great new song from, Paul McCartney or whoever,
Sure.
And they were keen about the music, and you just don't really get that so much now. People are just, it's just adverts for themselves, really. I listened to a podcast by an actor, Bill Nye, and he's quite funny. He's kind of agony uncle guy. But at the end of each show, in the show notes, it's on Spotify, he has a little playlist, you know,
Sure.
and he's promoting songs that are kind of themed to the things. And, you know, he's playing there's interesting stuff, John Lee Hooker, and he played a Stones song, and, you know, in those playlists, and he's encouraging people to listen to it. And whether you like
Good.
what he's putting forward or not, you know, there's an intent there about sharing stuff he likes, you know, and trying to get people interested in it, you know. But I think nowadays, you know, there's just too much. It's just too the same, and it's more about image than anything
Yeah.
else. Really, that's
And
what
the
follow.
singer is key now as well. It's all about the singer. But one thing I'd like to add is the way music is consumed now as well. We were all about albums, right?
yeah,
And I teach sometimes at school, and it's like teenagers, and when I see them in a group, they're listening to stuff, and it's all phone out, swipe, 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 right? And they're not even listening to a full song.
no,
They're not talking to each other about, did you hear this, did you hear that? It's just background
Correct.
music.
Yeah.
I know I sound like an old man yelling at clouds, but it's just the way.
No, it's attention span.
Tilting
The
at
attention
windmill.
span of young people is not quite the same.
No,
And that's just instilled in them from, you know, the digital devices. Everything's 30 seconds or less.
yeah.
The one thing that, you know, the one real thing that, you know, is very apparent to me, a lot of my favorite tracks were songs that I would never listen to straight off the bat. They would be ones I'd fall in love with from the album after listening to it 10, 15, 20 times.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's what's missing in music now, where those little hidden gems that aren't pushed by Spotify algorithm or whatever it may be, or playlists or whatever, are the ones that probably would be the ones that maybe I would fall in love with, but I'm not getting the opportunity to hear them because we don't have the physical product anymore. And like I said, you can buy physical product of some artists because, you know, vinyl is popular, but vinyl is very expensive in comparison to, you know, what in percentage wise, what say CDs used to be back in the day. So a CD now would probably cost like, you know, where it would be 25, 30 bucks Australian back in the 90s or whatever, probably like 40 or 50 bucks. But LPs vinyl is a lot more expensive now for a new vinyl. John, in Melbourne, I don't know, was it 100 bucks or close to?
I actually, funnily enough, I was looking the other day, talk about the kids not being into anything. My daughter's become a very big Lana Del Rey fan, and I was looking at some vinyl that they had at the shop at the local shopping centre, and like there was one album that was $59, but then there's a couple of other ones that were all seemed to be around 80, 90 bucks.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a lot of money.
And then a lot of the stuff that used to be the thing too with the format is that, you know, vinyl, I think the best you could get out of it. I remember Maiden used to put out some pretty long albums at 50 minutes per disc. So, you know, you're really maxing out 25 minutes a side, but realistically, you'd usually get, you know, 15 to 20 minutes a side on an album, on a vinyl album. And so then there's a lot of albums which aren't really double albums as such, but they physically have to be to fit the 60 minutes worth of music that's been released. Yeah. So,
too long.
Yes, yeah, but so then again, you're paying for 2 discs there, and that pumps it up over $100 easy. So, man, I remember being so excited when I was a kid. My uncle gave me a $30 brushes voucher, like, you know, to this shop that no longer exists, and that $30 bought me 3 Kiss albums, and you know I was in heaven. But then again, I remember when I was 14. Going to stay at my cousin's place for the weekend, and with $10 in my pocket would get me on the train into the city, see a movie, have something to eat, and play the pinball machines for a couple of hours. So, you know, maybe the records weren't as cheap as, you know, we remember them being cheaper, but
I just
maybe
think
that's what it costs.
John, do you guys have second-hand record shops?
Yeah,
we do.
I was
They're
just going
not-
to mention that, Simon. Actually,
Yeah,
me and
they're
my
not
nephew, who's 35, we go every Sunday to all the charity shops, and we just go round them all.
Yeah.
And all the CDs are £1 each,
Yeah.
and like Dark Side of the Moon for £1 and stuff, you know.
But again,
It's the thing, if you're happy to go like this and go through them all,
but again, we're touching on old artists, and I was really sort of touching on the fact that new artists, there's no physical product unless you're prepared to spend some astronomical amount on a vinyl. You know,
Yep.
Well,
it's just,
Brad,
what I'm getting
could
at
we-
is without sort of
could we
banging on
say-
about it for hours is just it would be great to hear some new artists come out and good production, and you know, be inspired and have that sort of excitement again about, oh man, did you hear? And everyone talking about going buying it, and then before you know it, you're listening to the fourth and fifth track more than the first two tracks because they're more exciting to you, because you know they become like your own songs. Like, oh, I love that song. That's not as popular, but I love it more. You know, that sort of thing I miss. That's what I really miss about. And I'm hoping and praying that becomes a thing again, because my son, for example, is 17, turns 18 in January, and he only really knows music as per what I've presented to him, CDs and stuff like that. But for the most part, it's all Spotify for him.
yeah.
So and YouTube. So he you know, he doesn't know. You know, he gets excited. Like I bought him vinyl. I've bought him some Doors albums on vinyl, brand new, and they were expensive. But for him, it's not as exciting as just hearing it on Spotify, is what I'm saying. So, yeah.
We talk about how, you know, the changes in the industry, but I think the more dramatic change that we've seen is the change in the music community. For old guys like us that remember how it used to be, we all heard the songs on the radio at the same time. The TV shows that featured music, that we would see these, you know, new videos of what's on the chart this week, were all on at the same time. Then we would, you know, we didn't have them in our back pockets. We go to school the next day, talk to our friends about it, share it. You'd buy the physical product. You'd have something to sort of like, you know, have a bit of an interaction about. And now that the music is presented to you on your personal device, at the time that is convenient for you, at no synchronicity to anyone else that you know in real life, that
I agree,
now,
John.
Your music consumption is an insular thing. It's not
it's not a shared experience.
You know? And that's why the kids don't do gigs anymore. Yeah, they do the big festivals and stuff like that, but that's just more of a rave up. But you know, and you're being bombarded with, you know, with 15, 20 bands, and whoever's on is whoever's on. You know, it's not like us that, oh damn, my favorite artist is coming to town, and you get the ticket and you go there and you scramble to be up the front, and you know you're interested in the experience of it all. You know, the same way that everybody nowadays in the digital age, you know, flicks a meme to their mate. Oh, pisser, you know, send it to your friend, give them a laugh. We used to do that with music, but no one does that with music anymore. You know, it's not like, because it's sort of like everybody's sort of, a laugh is a laugh, but everybody's got their own, you know, their own thing they dig musically. So like, you know, like I said, I've discovered some stuff, you know, through the past year or so, but I don't know that I'd throw it towards you guys. That'd be the thing that you're really into. And maybe that's a bad assumption on my part, but knowing that what is discussed on the channel is on the more classic rock side and stuff like that. You know, the young Italian, or that's probably a bad example because they sing in Italian, so you guys have missed the point completely. But like I found a British punk band that's two young sisters of Asian descent, and their brother on bass, who doesn't really want to be in the limelight, and they're called Yi Loi, which is two girls in Chinese, and they just did a tour with Adam and the Ants. You know, and it's just like, it's rough and raw and just a good time with no real sort of like huge I don't want to say no huge depth to it because, you know, you find whatever you find and everything. But they're serious about what they do, and it's a good fun listen. So, you know, again, there's not that impetus to sort of like to go to everyone and say, oh, this is my favorite song, because it's something that you do with your headphones on by yourself in your room or on the train or whatever like that. So maybe that has influenced the way that we access music, has influenced the way we consume music, and has influenced the way that we interact with each other about music.
Massive. That's a massive point about the lack of like shared experience between people now. Massive.
Yeah.
Okay,
A
that's
couple of
probably
weeks ago,
different, isn't it?
Yeah, a couple of weeks
I would
ago,
say.
Henning Pauly put out a video where he's doing a bit of a rant, and he was talking about how like the AI generated stuff is only going to get better. Like the sort of like crap that people put out just because they can put a prompt into chat GPT and then whatever it throws out, they put online just to get clicks and get some dollars out of it. Yeah, that stuff has got its issues. But if you really want to play around with it, you can get some stuff that's really decent, and that's only going to learn, and it's only going to get better. And the prediction was that instead of like having people make music for you, the AI will even just be able to pick out on what you've been doing online over the past 24 hours, your watch that monitors your heartbeat and biorhythms, gets an idea of what type of mood you're in, and will just create music on the fly for you to listen to, personally tailored to you, not just to you, but to you at this particular moment. And so it's going to have no bearing to anyone else. Will anybody even be listening to the same song as each other ever again at that point? And you know, it'll be yeah, well, it is, but because we're not used to that. And to someone maybe 50 years in the future, they'll look back and say, oh, the poor guys back in the, you know, the early 21st century had to actually just all listen to the same song that wasn't tailored for their own, you know, experience. And they would look at on that the same way that our kids would look at, oh, you know, poor dad, he had to watch that TV show on Thursday night because that's when it was on. He couldn't just you know, click on the streaming thing and watch it when it suited him, you know. And that's all the stuff that you know, everything evolves, and we're only scared of what it becomes because we're not used to what it was, because we never dealt with it that way. And we might be sitting here feeling sorry for the kids. The kids probably don't even have an idea that they'd want to do it the way that we used to want to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think we're kind of straying off onto our topic that could be completely another episode.
Yeah.
And I think we've kind of neglected, Andrew, what you're looking forward to for this side of this year, or in the next year, for the next 12 months musically, what you're hoping for. And I don't want to sort of neglect the boss man, so I think over to you, Andrew.
Thank you for that, my friend. But I'll get Simon to answer that first because he's next after you, and then I'll jump in if that's okay.
Sorry.
No
I'm lost
problem.
now, Simon. Sorry. I'm lost now because we've been talking about something that could be
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Conversation went where the conversation went.
Yeah,
No,
well,
it's
it's an important it's an important
it's something that
point.
we could do as a complete, and I think we should, you know, address it maybe as a whole episode on itself. You know what I mean? It's probably it's an interesting topic, and you know, you know, all things said and done, I'm an artist as well, and I know Spotify, you get absolutely nothing for it. That's why I'm a big advocate for bringing back physical product, and that's all I'll say about it.
Yeah.
Artists
And before
deserve.
Simon, and again, before Simon jumps in, I just want to back up the point though that was made, and I think this is something that we talk about on the show regularly on a weekly basis. The fact that we were listening to this music in a community, in a visible community when we were growing up, is really, really important, as opposed to what Zoomers are doing now online, not doing it online. So Hugh and John, good points.
Good topic. It's very good. I mean, the community thing, I agree with John too, because,
Yep.
I went to see Metallica, and it was a community of like-minded souls, like a family. But new bands, do they have that? I don't even know. It's Lenny Kravitz, same thing. It was like all like-minded people there. So, and a community. It was like big family. The Metallica one was very obvious. Everyone felt like family. You're high-fiving people you didn't know. Your fist in the air with people you didn't know. It was great. It was a real community thing. So,
well done, Simon. What do you got?
Well, just to put a slightly different spin on this, I'll just say that Sam Fender released an album this year. Right, it sold 56,000 copies on vinyl in its first week.
Yep.
So somewhere in there is a load of 56,000 people have got a Sam Fender record, put it on and played it. I think the shared experience is probably an online in forums and stuff experience. But
Yeah, definitely.
I think that, that, and clearly, that other people like Taylor Swift have sold a lot of records on vinyl, 48,000, so far. And Sabrina Carpenter's latest album has sold 27,000 copies in its first week, record on vinyl, or anything else. And I'll be boring, go back to, Chris Buck's band, Cardinal Black, they released everything on vinyl. For 2 albums they released on vinyl. They released a live album on vinyl as well. So it's more possible now to release your stuff on vinyl than it ever has been before. It's about, in the UK, it's about, an album's about 25 quid, £25 for an album. My friends who Blue Airplanes just released this, double vinyl album. They do it themselves, just put stuff out. So I think it's easy to do. There is a way of doing it. You've got to maybe put money. And what Cardinal Black do, they have pre-sales. So, they'll put something up and they'll go, right, we're releasing an album in, March. So we're pre-releasing it now. You can buy it on its own. You can buy it with a T-shirt. You can buy it with a T-shirt and a sweat, and whatever it is, and they make packages up and do all those things. So I think that the ability to do it as a, on a DIY basis, I've organised the pressing and the distribution of an album in the first Blue Airplanes album in 1981, like that. We've got a company in France to press 1,000 copies of it. We designed the sleeve, decided not to have too many colours because it got very expensive, and got those things in, and then we had a distribution deal for a company called Pinnacle that were, and we sent out 1,000 records into the ether. That was in 1981. I think that very much the same ethos applies now. That if you can send, you can do it yourself. But it's the same. You've got to go out on tour to support it. We've got to write it and organise it first. Then you go out on tour to support it. And that's the same as it was 50 years ago. I mean, in the 70s, you might have got a record company advance, but let's not forget the record royalties were rubbish. You didn't get. I know you didn't get 0.001p a play. You got more than that if you got played on a radio. But all of those artists have gone back and renegotiated royalty rates in retrospect. People like Elton John, every band, probably with the exception of Led Zeppelin from the 60s and 70s, got an absolute slapping. They signed up, Tuppence a record kind of thing. Record companies getting £3, whatever it is, from that, and and then the amount of money, that's fine, but remember it's an advance. So every month penny you spend is owed to the record company in perpetuity, unless they decide to write it off. So I think that for me there are green shoots there in amongst the doom and the gloom. It's not the same as it was 50 years ago, but I think the opportunities, for good bands, what they say, cream rises to the top. You've got to put stuff out, you've got to get it pressed, you've got to, yes, it's different as it was now. You know, Chris Buck uses his 250,000
Yeah.
YouTube subscribers to push art. Absolutely, you know, but you know, and he's very clever about it. But that's not the only thing he does. He doesn't just do the band. He does, you know, all sorts of other things that pay money, you know, like tutoring and like, you know, demonstrations, like all those things, you know, which is, you know, that mean you make an income. So, you know, clearly in 1970 there wasn't much opportunity to make. If you were Cochise or Stray, there wasn't much opportunity to make things, you know, money off those other.
You know, the way they make their money these days though isn't so much about touring, although it helps a little. It's all about merch, is it not?
Yep.
How much merch
Well,
you can
touring
do.
merch, yeah, absolutely. Selling albums at the
Different
gigs.
business model, yeah.
But the downside to living here, like in Australia and probably New Zealand, is for you guys to buy an LP or vinyl that's manufactured over that side of the world. For us to get it here, it costs a lot more. So there's no manufacturing and stuff like that here. So for us to buy an vinyl, Simon, to answer your question, it's probably going to cost us, you know, 20% more, maybe around that at least for, you know, getting it to the transport and freight here, because there's no real shops here. You've got to buy it online. So everything has, like, you know, you can't go to an LP store and buy new. There are a couple of places like JB Hi-Fi, but they don't really have a lot of stuff there. It's not like the old days where you used to walk in a vinyl store or a record store and see mountains of stuff, where now it's like a small section and you might find a best of Jimi Hendrix, a best of Taylor Swift, a best of, like, you don't see the big.
You don't have a second-hand record store market.
We do, but you're going back to.
But then the other thing with second-hand record stores is whatever they get. You know,
but that's the other thing too. Second-hand record stores, you're actually going back to not really discovering anything new and buying something new. You're still buying old stuff that you've probably heard 20, 30 years over and over and over. So it's a real.
That's definitely different to here.
Yeah, because
you know, you can go to a record shop here, a second-hand record shop here, and find, you know, new stuff people have bought and chopped in walls around. Yeah, clearly you can buy the first Doors album, that's fine. But you know, it definitely crosses the decades completely. So you can buy modern stuff, you know, new stuff that's just come out. You know, people have always got that circulation going.
There's like a second-hand record store in St Kilda, but they've got new vinyl, but it's like nearly $100 Australian to buy a vinyl, one album. And
because you're stuck with the import stuff, Brad. Is that import?
Yeah. But so second-hand, they still sell modern stuff, but it goes up in price. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's like it's just how it is here, Simon. It's a bit different. It's like buying guitar here. If I buy a guitar,
well, that's exactly what I thought.
Even if I go into a store that sells Gibsons, you can't buy Gibson for like what you used to buy them for, because the freight getting them here costs way more. So for you to go and buy, say, a 2025 Gibson Les Paul off the shelf, it's going to work out cheaper for you monetary-wise in your dollars as it would be for me. It's going to cost me a lot more because there's that import take. Everything comes here. So, you know, it's what I'm saying is Andrew would probably same thing in New Zealand, probably a little bit more expensive again, Andrew.
It's $100. $100 is the minimum for an album. You know, you're looking at $100 to $130 for an album. Some early 90s albums, for example, are $400 or $500. You know, because of the pressing. So.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, that's the other thing too, Simon. The second-hand record stores here, they're a bit cheeky. If it's a first pressing or something, they'll put some stupid price on it you can't afford.
Everyone knows the value of something.
Yeah. Well, the information's there. Like the days of being able to go to a second-hand shop and them not knowing what they have is gone, because now they're savvy enough to look up. You know, it's just a quick Google search to see what pressing you got, and some mad collector's willing to pay $500 for it.
Correct.
Buying the Kinks live at Kelvin Hall.
Anyway, my point I was getting at was being optimistic, saying hopefully it happens again. That's all.
Yeah. And I get that. I get that point too. And it's good to see that vinyl is having a resurgence. That's good. And for a while there, before 2020, the prices of vinyl were pretty competitive. When JB Hi-Fi was starting to put them in. So I saw the transition. It happened within 3 months, where they had 2 aisles of CDs went and they put in vinyl. And it was interesting because, the albums were about $50. And then within a year, that album that was $50, because they're selling, that's how business works, baby. So bang, they were twice the price.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is that aspect to it as well. Of course, Brad, freight, and shipping's a big part of the costs that we have here. But I think vinyl is definitely made a comeback. But it's not the working class answer to listening to good music, is it? The working class answer is always going to be the Spotify now.
I've reluctantly not bought some vinyl things because I think it's just too pricey. I've gone back to buying the CD version of it. Like the 24 Nights thing, I bought the CD version because the LP version thing here was way too expensive. It was just too much money.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And there's, I'd love to buy My Bloody Valentine's Loveless album on vinyl, but it's just crazy. It's just the prices are crazy. But okay, so that's good. So Simon, you got anything else that you want to see happen? In the next 12 months?
I'm ever hopeful for a new Bruce Springsteen record next year. Apparently, it's rumored. So that'd be really nice.
It's already been 5 years since the last new album.
Yeah, the letter was 3 years ago. Yeah,
yes. 5.
Yeah,
It's about you. It's about you, guys.
Yeah, he's only released what, that 8 album box set and stuff. And
that's all the stuff and the
Well, that's the thing, though, now, isn't it? Like, if you think back when the Beatles were out, they were putting an album out every 6 months.
Correct.
That level of creativity. Hats off. Nowadays, some of these artists, well, it's like it is going to be 5 years between albums. The frequency has dropped, and I don't know, but
they've got lazy, haven't they, Jim?
on with your job.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the AI artists are putting out like 8 albums in 2 weeks.
We got Alan Toll in the chat, folks. Say Merry Christmas,
Morning,
Alan. Thank you for jumping on board,
Merry
Alan.
Christmas,
Good
Alan.
to see you.
Merry Christmas.
Right. Well, the couple of things that I'd like to see, guys, happen next year. Obviously, been a Van Halen fan here on the channel. Last week we kicked Van Halen in the nuts because we were being critical about Alex Van Halen's snubbing of the Sammy Hagar era of the band, and he's got every right to do that. That's fine, okay. But I'm a fan as well, and I have every right to moan and whinge because I've followed this band since I was 14 years old. Yeah. But I'd like to see, and we've been talking about this for a long time on the channel, and it's been a big point for a lot of us. Apparently there's some great stuff in the 5150 studio. And Jim, we've mentioned this before. You've looked at Bob Dylan doing it. Neil Young's done it. I don't know how many times I've repeated on the channel. Bruce Springsteen's done it. Jimmy Page has done it. They've released all the stuff. The Beatles are doing it. There's a market there, and I'd like to think that some of these bands could realize that. Who made the comment about the demographic spending it before they all die. Who made that? One of us made that. Jim.
It's Jim. Yes.
There may be nobody left, John, to buy any of this Van Halen shit because we're all dead.
Yeah.
How cheerful is that?
So, you know, it might be discovered as the, you know, archaeological find of the next 100 years. Who knows?
That's a good one.
Yeah, so I'd like to see something like that, you know, come obviously out of the Van Halen camp. That would be good. Clearly, Sammy and Michael would be behind anything like that. And I also mentioned last week too, you know, that one of the highlights for me this year was the Becoming Led Zeppelin film that Jimmy Page in particular pushed. And I really, really enjoyed that. And I think it's a great benchmark of a documentary for other bands maybe to look at, to sort of ponder and study on how they can maybe talk about the development of their bands moving forward. So we've got the Becoming Led Zeppelin video. I'd like to see maybe next year Being Led Zeppelin, you know, the part 2 version, because we didn't get, you know, the whole full career, obviously, but I'd like to see, you know, that when they were kings of the world, Jim, you know, and Brad, you know, when, you know, Led Zeppelin conquered the world, you know, through that 70s. So that would be incredible to see that documented officially by the band before they're issuing death certificates in their box sets.
Oh God,
I know.
I'm going to quote you on that, Jim, because I think that's a wonderful thing. You know, the 80th box set. You've got copies of their graves, photos of their graves, and their certificates. Oh my Lord!
Yeah. I was being mean-spirited, but you know, it just feels like
true.
just too much of it goes. And you know, the stuff that you're right. Stuff should be released that people would buy, and it isn't being. And the stuff that's been released about 150 times, and they're just finding different ways of packaging it, and they're doing it because it's a sure thing. You know,
correct.
That's the
so
thing.
you've got
like,
you've
no
got
risk.
one end of the spectrum just re-releasing the stuff, and you know the other end of the spectrum you're not getting anything, Jim.
Frank Zappa said in an interview before he died, obviously, but he was saying, back
from
in
beyond the grave.
He said we were better off with the old guys in the record companies, the big old guys chewing their cigars, going, "Is it any good? I don't know. We'll stick it out and see what happens." And he said,
correct.
you know, in the 80s, you got these guys coming in. No, that's not what the kids want. We won't put that out. No, we're not going to take a risk on that.
The hipsters.
He said we were better off with the old guys that didn't know nothing, you know.
Yeah, I know that quote, and it's and when I read that, Jim, I think it nailed it. You know, when the experts came in to tell the record owners, you know, who were only ever interested in one thing, cash, money, and if it was going to sell, Brad, you know, that was it. If it doesn't sell, it's okay. We'll move on to the next one. But yeah, that's a good point. And there's one other thing too I'd like to talk about. You know, that's honourable mention for the channel. We mentioned it last week. We've been in conversation with Chris Skill and Brad Talinsky. We've got a release date for their biography on Jeff Beck. It's July next year. So Chris has volunteered to come on and join us for a couple of shows to help promote the book. So you guys are more than welcome to join us when we finally get those dates, because Jeff Beck's music's been a big part of, you know, our lives, you know, growing up, and he's definitely an influence. And to have
the greats.
Chris touch base and ask if we would be interested is even more.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, brilliant.
Nice, honourable.
That's brilliant. I mean, just going back in how we shared experience, I remember in about 1972, 73, going to my best mate's house, and he'd bought a copy of Truth by Jeff Beck and The Who live at Leeds. and we sat and
Well
listened
done.
to those.
Oh,
We
Yeah.
sat and listened to those for
that
a
was
whole
a good
night.
night.
And that was my introduction to
Very
Jeff
good.
Beck, because I'd never heard of him before that, you know. So that was it.
What an album.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Listen, I'm going to
Yeah.
have to go because I've got a dog to walk.
No
And
problem.
So is
I
Andrew.
really love being here.
Yeah.
And it's great seeing you guys.
Jim, it's great to see you, man.
You
Yeah,
too.
Thanks
we're
for
going to wind
jumping
up soon anyway. So if you want to
Yeah.
shoot off, Jim, that's thank you.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Jim.
Have a lovely
and we'll
Christmas.
talk.
Yeah,
Merry Christmas,
all the
Jim.
best,
Yeah.
guys. Thank you.
All best.
See you
Cheers,
soon.
mate.
Well done.
I've got a
Hell of a
cat.
nice guy.
He just sleeps all the time.
Yeah. Hell of a nice guy. But yeah, he brought some good insight. Obviously, I like the idea that he mentioned. Death certificates being issued in box sets. Brad, that's that's a new thing. It's kind of macabre, but you could imagine it happening. Well, look at this.
Perfect thing to go with the autopsy photos.
Yeah. Oh,
And a piece of turf from their grave. Yes, absolutely. Was it the Manfred Mann album that they Solid Earth that they gave you a square foot of a field in Wales kind of thing.
Yeah.
They are.
well done, boys. Thank you for jumping on and sharing
Guys.
at least some Christmas spirit here on the channel, and also because Christmas is about looking forward to the the next year, because for a lot of people, I'm sure it's a global thing, but I know here in New Zealand locally, this year's been tough on a lot of people. It's been a tough year. Been a tough year on a lot of businesses, and so from that perspective, we'd like to see things move ahead for families and for individuals, on a home front perspective. Gotta hope that things move forward.
Yeah, and I second that, Andrew, but also the success of the channel and the people, the community we've got. We're very thankful for that, and we just look forward to continue doing it and growing it. That's our small little world of YouTube here is slowly growing and getting bigger, and it's that's the other thing I was hoping to get out at the end of this, Andrew, this episode was the gratitude for the people that are joining us today, the people in the chat on screen with us, and the people that watch later.
Awesome.
And we're going to release selected shows on vinyl they can enjoy them in perpetuity.
If people actually understood how much it costs for an independent artist to release vinyl, they would say don't release it. That's
Sure.
what I have to say on it. Yeah,
I think that's really sad that Australia's
there's no profit.
been
There's
mown
no
over
profit.
by the
There's no profit in it in doing it in small runs. It's not worth doing in small runs. It actually costs you to do it in small runs. So
Yeah, 100%. And you go and
It's a
watch
massive
any
risk to do a big run.
show, they'll tell you that.
the thing is, it's a big risk to do a big run because it's quite a lot of money, and you might not ever sell it all. So
That's
Correct.
right.
which is why you do the pre-order stuff, right? I think that's
Yeah.
the pre-order stuff's a good idea. It's a great idea, but you got to have a good fan base for that as well, I guess. So.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
I thought that
it's the whole thing, that it always falls back, unfortunately, on the artist to do all the promotion, all the social media, everything falls on the artist now, where the most important thing for the artist should be creating, not running a business behind their music. So
Well, it's the same thing with books as well, music books. I didn't get Cream Chronicled from the publisher, that Nettie Baker has published, and because the freight on that was twice the price of the book. So I'll wait until it becomes available through Amazon. And Amazon will ship it from Aussie for $10. Not from the UK. £60. Cheapers.
Yeah, you'd have thought these days that if you ordered a book, that there would be some local distributor who would print it off, bind it, put it in an envelope, and send it to you, as you say, for $10, kind of thing. You know, not.
That's what they do in Aussie. So in Aussie and
Do they
Dandenong,
print them? Do
and-
they?
Yeah, in Melbourne, they've got a big, huge building in Dandenong which does it. So you order your book and it gets printed basically within 2 days in Melbourne and gets shipped to New Zealand. So, you know, Aussies again, you know, leading the world.
No, not sure about that, Andrew, anymore. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, none of that. Yeah. We can't talk about that, please.
Yeah.
No. Okay. All right, boys. We're going to wind up. We've been talking and listening to each other for 2 hours.
Yeah,
Honestly.
and I think a lot of the topics that were discussed around our you know, hopeful dreams and things for 2026 musically, we could possibly do a show on independently on its own, 100%. So
Well, I'm going to jump on tomorrow probably with the Rock Professor. We're going to hang out here for an hour and a half, and we're going to talk about Christmas films, Christmas movies.
Whoa,
Simon.
Christmas films.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about. So I want you to pick a couple of your favorite Christmas films.
Big debates of which is and isn't a Christmas film.
Yes, that's exactly it, John. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Die Hard.
That's got to be.
You had to spoil it. Spoiler alert.
So we're going to do that. We'll talk about that. John, if you're around, if you want to jump in, I'm not sure what you're doing. I'll send you a link if you're around. We're going to be here.
I most probably will be, because the family's all sick at the moment, so they're all holed up a couple of blocks away down the road, and I won't be visiting them for a few days. So Sunday Arvo for me.
Okay, you jump on, and so we'll talk about some Christmas films.
Bloody Christmas films.
Yeah. We'll talk about some Christmas films, and hopefully Carl will join us too, because he's a very good film critic, so we'll have him on talking about that. And Brad, wish you well, bro, tomorrow at Carol's brother.
no problem at all. And Merry Christmas to
Well
everyone.
and truly jingled.
You too, Brad.
Merry Christmas, and you know, have a safe and wonderful New Year ahead.
Yeah,
Much
thank you.
love
See you
and
next
joy to
year.
everyone. Much love and joy to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hugh, thank you, brother, for jumping on.
Thank
I'll
you.
include
See
a
you,
link
Thank you.
to
Thanks, Jim.
your channel
Hopefully,
here.
major successes for the channel to come and keep it going.
Thank you, brother, and
Thanks, Hugh.
thank you for contributing to it. Means a lot. John, always a pleasure, bro. Thank you for jumping
Thank
on,
you.
and we'll hang out tomorrow
you.
then, talking about Christmas films.
Yeah,
Christmas
sure.
film.
Yeah.
And just real quick, I want to say, so like, I'm pretty sure this is the first time, apart from the big ensemble shows, that both myself and Hugh and Jim got together on the one show.
Yeah.
And we've been the crew that sort of has been the second stringers for when Brad was away in London, and then more recently when Simon was away. So it's taken three of us to replace either of you guys. And speaking just for myself, I've loved doing it.
Me too.
Also, another great pleasure that's come from it is the early days of organising that, the logistics of having a chat with the six of us all together, and that's just morphed into now just a constant communication where we do get to be a bit of a little community of our own and share music stuff and music news and the odd funny picture, guitar related stuff like that. And that's something that's I'm very I find it's very precious to me. So thank you guys for that. And as we keep saying, music brings people together. So if it wasn't for music, we wouldn't know each other. And what a hole in our lives
Cool is that?
Oh yeah,
How cool is that?
100%. It's like having a gang, isn't it? It's like when you're back at school. You know, it's that same. It's
Having a
exactly the
band.
same. Yeah,
that's it.
You
And
know,
nowadays we can
we're-
do it worldwide. You know,
Yeah.
I've only had the pleasure of of meeting Brad in real life, face to face. But you know, definitely friendship no longer depends on you know, physical proximity.
No.
Sure, 100%. But
Yeah.
you're having that gang outlook, you know, and I mean that in a positive way, guys. When you say that word, you know, it's like friends, you know, spending lunchtime talking about listening to Led Zeppelin 4. You know, the first time when you're 14 years old, you know, or Kiss, you know, Destroyer. You know, talking. It's like spending, you know, eating and not eating your lunch because you're talking so much and realizing you didn't eat your lunch, you know, and then you'd probably eat it on the way home, because if you didn't eat it, Mum would give you a slap around the ears because she made lunch for you.
Well deserved.
Or
You were
if
lucky.
you're like me, I just went to school and stole other people's lunches. So that was
Look at that.
I'm hungry now. I'm hungry.
The glorious tales of a misspent youth.
Yeah, you got it, brother. Are we out of here?
Let's go, guys. I
Yeah,
gotta eat
let's
now.
go. Yeah.
All right.
Take care, guys.
See you tomorrow.
Merry Christmas. See you
Peace.
tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone.